Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to UX and Data Meetup. My name is Matthew Weber. I'm one of the co-organizers of the UX and Data Meetup, along with my friends Bill and Kim. We've been gone for the summer. We're really happy to be back here. We've got a really great program for the fall and the winter, and really excited about tonight's program especially. So, Wei Wei, please come on up.
Yeah,
Designing for intelligent cognitive products. Round of applause.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's work, right? Okay. So you see, I wear so many microphones on my body. So that's why I needed to show some technology power. Okay, thank you, everybody. So. This evening, I will quickly show some really high-level ideas about designing for intelligent cognitive product. So, AI can offer our really amazing user experience if it's well designed, right? So that's why I'm really thinking about, so what is a new wave of the, idea of the AI designing? So, but today, rather than talking about some AI-centered interfaces, I'd like to share some new kind of the design thinking about AI, right? So let's do that. Okay, so this is really exciting moment to entering the cognitive AI computing era, right? We can have the computer to mimic the human thought process and resolve some problem. So that's why I'm really thinking about how might AI support a human-centered design. So for the new age of the computing, I think it's not just applying the cognitive AI to instead of the information system. So we have to radically rethinking so how AI should work. Okay, let me see. As a good example, right? So the movie Her is really good and inspired the love story, right? A man develops a relationship with a computer system named Simisa, right? So this is a good science fiction story, but in my view, it also design fiction, right? We could have different perspective to learn how Simisa to be designed. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's coming. So today, we are utilizing the interaction design to resolve the human cognition problems, right? So in cognitive AI age, so should we just duplicate the same approach to resolve the human problem? I don't think so, because there are totally different platform, different relationship between the human and machines. So let's see what happened in human history, right? So we have been constantly extending the human abilities by different the scientific and technical revolutions. So in Industrial Revolution, so our human utilize the machine to amplify our muscles and create some value by doing physical work. So in the information revolution era, right, until today, so we create the computer, web, even mobile, right, utilizing the data science, the telecom communication technology, right, to extend our nervous system. So the machine actually help us to reduce the uncertainty. So the question is, what is the next? What is the next revolution? What is a new type of experience and a new type of machine? And how can we utilize a new type of machine to create some new value for our society? Okay, so in order to answer this question, right, I work with my friend Han-shen and Chia-wei, right? We work together and trying to figure out, so what is a new type of experience? So we give a name, it's just a temporary name, as a meaning, the intelligent cognitive experience, right? So what it is and how it works. So basically, we thought it should beyond the UX. It's not only for user, right? It should work for human needs. And secondly, the system will apply the cognitive computing and machine learning for effective design. Also, we think it should be a platform applicable for general intelligence. And also the system will tailored for human cognitive process. So as part of our experimental studies, early this year, actually, we opened a co-lab class in Parsons Design School, right, with a design technology department. So by studying the human cognitive process and some cognitive computing technologies, our students, they explore some speculative design ideas, right? And also, they will build some symbiotic cooperation between the human and the intelligent machine agent. So later today, we will invite Ethan. He's one of my class students to share the class project. Okay, so let's back to the topic. So how can we have AI support human-centered design? So we get the 3 key questions and 6 attributes to help us get some really high-level ideas. How can we start with the intelligent cognitive product design? The first question is, what type of AI to choose? Second, what capability of AI might need? And what thinking of AI might be developed? So let's start from the first one, the type. So I have a question for you guys, but I only can invite one of you. So how many types of AI you can recognize? Who want to answer the question? Okay, give me a second.
I can speak.
Okay. Speak louder.
There are many ways to categorize it, but I think one of the more popularized
Yes.
way to categorize is ANI, AGI, and ASI.
Okay.
ANI standing for artificial narrow intelligence. So these are very specific functions powered by machine learning algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
The second type is what we call AGI, artificial general intelligence. We're not there yet.
Yes.
It's about the ability for a system to mimic your entire brain's function.
Yes.
Naturally, we're not there. And then naturally, for the third type, we're definitely not there. ASI, superintelligence. Think about having thousands of brains working in sync. Is that fair?
Wow, that's really cool. I also learned some new knowledge from you. Thank you so much. Okay, so, So, in my view, I give you a few options here, right? But there's definitely different the perspective to see the AI. So artificial intelligence, this AI. Augmented intelligence, that's another AI. Even the alien intelligence, that's also AI. And also there are so many versions. It's after internet, all this kind of AI. But definitely today we won't talk about anything about alien AI, right? So next time maybe Matt can invite some NASA people to tell us. So today, we only focus on the two types of AI, the artificial and augmented. So what's different between these two types? So, okay, okay. So back to the 1960s, right? We luckily get Linklander as our the AI and computer science pioneer to help us and demonstrate, the cooperative interaction between the human and machines, right? And in his theory, he defined the new relationship like the human-computer symbiosis. Basically, there are the two fundamental principles. First one is that a computer facilitate the formulative thinking. And the second one, to enable the man and computers to cooperate in making decisions and controlling the complex situations. Okay, let's try to use Linklander's the man-computer symbiosis theory to understand what's different between artificial and augmented intelligence. Okay, first of all, about relationship, right? Let's say, okay, for the artificial intelligence in this graph, you can see, okay, first of all, the yellow represents the human, the blue represents the machine, right? The artificial intelligence have a machine apart from the human. And also for the symbiosis, the machine and human will work together as a whole. So what's major difference is about the impact, right? If the machine work independent and apart from the human, maybe later, the machine will become more powerful and is stronger than human. But for the symbiosis, because machine and the human work together, and the machine will help human, get augmented intelligence. In the end, both entities will become stronger, right? Let's get one example, right? For example, the AlphaGo, right? AlphaGo designed for compete with a human, but majorly it's really focused on some of the technology research, right, for the deep learning, machine learning stuff. Another thing is about Watson, right? Watson is a cognitive system. So it leverages some specialist the experience. So let's see, I think, in my view, the success of AI will not measured by Turing test or even how to mimic the humans. It could be a new way, right, and a more practical way for, for example, the disease cured, the new market opportunities, even the life saved, right? So that's why for the augmented intelligence and symbiosis, so we will have the machine to leverage the people's abilities. For example, so today the Watson can help some oncologists, right, to interpret some cancer patients' the informations, and also help them to identify some individualized and even evidence-based the treatment options. So that's what we say. We have to figure out what kind of relationship between the human and machines. Secondly, think about the Linklander's the principle, right? He mentioned the machine will facilitate the human the formulative thinking. This is about a process. So let's see, in terms of formulative thinking, right? So let's see there are the two different processes. One is a formulated thinking. Another one is a formulative thinking. So there are three attributes we can to learn what different from them. For the formulated, the process is a closed loop. So that means it's a predetermined the process. So that's why we will utilize the predetermined the problem and the solutions for the logics and the data model, right? It's always predetermined. For the formulative thinking, just like the chart showed, is in progressing, right? So the machine trying to grab the data and generate the new model and learn the new logic to resolve the problems. So that's some example we can learn from for the real world example, right? So for the formulative process or thinking, we see this kind of the linear process. For the formulative thinking, it could be the dynamic. Why is dynamic? Let's compare with the linear process. Today, we use all different the online services. So for example, the Similis. I really like Similis, right? But I only want to share some how it works. Today, we order some the food, right? So we always can get some good options online. But it's a predetermined pattern, right? The data is always be there. So no anything can beyond the predetermined the logic. So for another thing about Wei, is anybody familiar with Wei? Wei? No? Okay. Oh, you know that. Oh, that's great. Yeah, Wei actually is created by the series founder, right? He got a new stuff, and also he got a Wei to work like that. For example, someone actually talked to the machine to say, on the way to my brother's house, I needed to pick up some cheap wine that goes well with lasagna, right? Based on this sentence, the machine will help the user to formulate and distraction from the different entities. Lasagna is a kind of food, right? The brother is a relationship, and the home is address. So for example, the machine will try to understand, okay, what kind of the ingredient in the food, and what kind of when comparing this food. And my brother is a person, where his location. And once the machine pull off the liquor tap and the store, and also will generate a route for the user, go to pick up the liquor and go to the dinner with his brother, right? So this will be everything be dynamic. So that's why we should think about the pattern behind these two processes. For the formulated thinking, it's just like today program approach, right? If do. So we will trigger the solutions to predetermine the problems. So how about the formulative thinking, right? It's really mimic the human thought process. So if do then, always derive solutions to problems in processing. And also, it's not only give you some simple question, it's always give you the different options based on different conditions. So that's why it's really similar like today we have the deep learning and machine learning technology to mimic the human brain works to formulate our new type of services. So that's why today, when we design some new product or services, so we always use the user research, right, to find out what is the predetermined problems, because all the research will go to our, the predetermined problems. We will know what is the user pinpoint, right? And also we will design the different solutions, interactions, and information architecture, right, to help the machine or system to triggering those solutions. So that's a question for all of us. Once we meet the cognitive computing era and the formulative thinking type of the technology, how should we design the services? How should we define the user experience, right? Okay, so that's why we should think about, start from the machines, the capability. So I think the major difference for the intelligent cognitive product than the traditional product is we have to have a machine to understand the human. And also we have to have a machine to get the human cognitive process, following this process to doing, oh bless you. Okay, so, okay, what I want to say? Okay, so let's compare the human brain and the machine. What the difference between these two entities? Human brain is really narrow bandwidth. So that's why human usually only can handle a few tasks. They can only focus on some particular things. And also, our human brain has the parallel and the simultaneously channels, right? That's why human always can have the capability for thinking, for imagination, even make some metaphor, right? So that's why it's always redundant, noisy, but flexible. How about a machine? As a machine, it's very fast, and it will be faster and faster. But it's limited elementary operations, right? And non-redundant, but very accurate. So that's why we think about how can we utilize the design to fill up the gap between those, right? And how might a cognitive system coordinate the human cognition process? So also back to the 1960s, we have the pioneer about AI and computer science, Andrew Bart, right? He also defined HLAMT system, right? He actually trying to utilize this system to handle, the augmenting human intelligence system. So H is a human, L is language, A is artifact, and M is methodology, T is training. So in this chart, we want to demonstrate, okay, the machine will work or coordinate with the human will coordinate with the machine. This machine is trained by a human with a human language, human artifact, and human methodology, right? In this way, the machine is increasing the capability of a human to approach a complex situation. So that's why we think potentially we will have the machine can do some readily, well, and rapidly task, right? It's difficult and impossible for the human. And for the human, also they still can focus on their some readily and well, but not rapid approach. And those things also are difficult and impossible for the machine. So that's why we can have machine and human work together. So in terms of the capability, we have to identify what content should we prepare and design, right? Today we have the technology about the natural language processing or natural language understanding, right? But the natural language is less important than the natural communications. So as a human, we always use knowledge to keep the communication and exchange some ideas. So that's why we have said there are the three types of the knowledge, right, to help us doing communication. One is about experience. So those are engagement matters. So today we have many designers, right, and researchers trying to figure out what is the user's preference, habit, behavior, right, and what kind of the relationship, even some of the patterns. So another type of knowledge is about the expertise knowledge, right? The people have their own culture, race, or even the discipline, right? And something in the middle between the human to human, right? People always will have some shareable and common sense to easier for them to make the natural communication. So that's, I think, potentially we should think about what sense between the human and machine we need to build up. Basically, we should think about what is the common sense between the human and machines. How can we build the common sense between the human and machine and realize the natural communications? Okay, so in this chart, so we show this is a symbiotic cooperation, right, between the human and the machine. And we want the machine learn at scale and also reason with a purpose, also interact with the human naturally. So as an intelligent machine agent, right, so it observes the human behaviors, right, and mimic the human thought, and also adapt to the human's feedbacks, and also the machines well trained by some examples or training by other machines. So over the time, and along with continuous learning, so between the human and the machine, we'll build up the mutual layer, and with the language, right, the emotions, even the humans, the behavior patterns, we will build the common sense between them. As a designer, we need to think about how can we design some triggers, and over the time, right, with a different time span, to onboard the user to training the machines. In the end, we have machine easier to make agreement with a human, so we will realize the shareable awareness. Okay, once we have machine get a better understand about a human, so what is next? Because we are thinking about the human-centered design, so that's why we still want to utilize the knowledge to augment the human abilities, right? So that's why we should think about how to augment it. Okay, so is there anyone sake drinkers? I am, right? Yeah. So, every time when I see those sake bottles, I'm really excited, right? Yeah, because there are some alcohol, right? But meanwhile, I also get confused by complexity, right? Because I don't know which one should I try or taste this time, right? So, but fortunately, those brands, right, they provide us some intuitive ways to perceive the taste. For example, they will give you some indicator mention, it's sweet or dry, it's good for cold or warm or even hot, right? Even what kind of food you're comparing, is is heavy or light, and they give you different, the category for the case. So all this information are insight. All this information will help us make decision. So back to the machine, right? And the symbiotic cooperation. So in one anticipated symbiotic partnership. So we will have the human to set up the goals and formulate the hypothesis, and even to determine some, the criteria, and also perform the evaluations. So for the machines, it will do some routinizable work, right, and prepare the way for insight and decisions. So that's why the machine actually will trained by the human, but the human will also inspired by the machine. So in this way, so we will have machine increase our brain for reasoning and learning. So somehow we will get, a better the cognition, even the better the intelligence. Okay, next one is about thinking. So once we have machine can do some work, the routinized work, they have some capabilities. How can we have machine to deliver some thoughtful approaches and make people feel really natural and meaningful, right? So it should be adaptive, right? Interactive, even contextual. So back to this chart, we can see, okay, if we can have a machine to understand the human emotions, right, that will be different. We have to have a machine to understand some contextual stuff. So that's why machine should adapt to how people live their lives, right? But not to have machine, have the human adapt to the machine. And meanwhile, so how can we, involve the emotional, factors? So that's why we all think about some the affective and affective design. Okay, in this chart, we all see how can we do that. Do you remember the if dozen, this type, the formulative processing? So as a machine, potentially we can have them to perceive the situation, right? That's as if. And for the action, it's just like have some the mimic human thinking process to learn what is the potential actions we can do. Also, based on the knowledge, right? And the machine will have some outcomes for the human to learn. If you do that, what things will happen later? As a machine, we will perceive something for their own benefits, right? That's why today everybody, go to the meetup or go to work. When you wake up, you say, should I go to work, right? Why? Because there's the value will return to you. So that's the outcome. But sometimes as a human, we have limited the insight to perceive the outcome. If we can have a machine to help us to grab the more insight, so that will be totally different, right? So goes to this slide. So as a human, we always make decision, depends on the different factors. For example, the bias, right? the environmental context, the emotional state, even the semantics. So in this chart, we can see even there are the same fact in the realistic. People always pick up the particular way to match their, the affective factors. So that's why, how can we have a machine to show us so how many type of the options we can have, right? So as a human, we are rethinking, should we doing something following your heart, or you have to doing something with the responsibility, right? So we will have the effective design to help the user or the human to do some way is more smart. Also, the last attribute is about ambient, right? So today, we're also entering the ubiquitous era. We have a lot of different the devices, the sensors, and we have a lot of different the computing stuff help us grab some information and data. Meanwhile, if we can utilize those data to training the machine to compare with some common sense with a human, and help human to understand some the options, like it's most trained to the personal, ideals, public, or aesthetics. So we will actually have the more options for human make decisions, right? Because some information and data is recorded in language, captured in images, even the sound. But some information, they are hidden in, for example, the taste, right? Or some the textures, or even the gestures. So we will leverage those information for human to grab some insight about the context. So ultimately, if we have everybody get their own the intelligent machine agent, we can build up the inside web, right? So we will have everybody participate the hybrid, the agreement making, and we will have machine to engage human-to-human conversations. So that's why people-to-people will get more, the common sense, and they can understand the different culture, right? They can actually get a shareable, the emotional matters, shareable awareness, and even some contextual awareness. So that's the ambient. Okay, so let's quickly review what we talking about today. So there are only some high-level, the components we are learning, right? About the AI type, AI capability, and AI thinking. So how can we, identify the relationship between the human and the machine? And what kind of process we should design for the new cognitive AI system? And how can we design some, the interaction or the triggers to build up the common sense between the human and the machine to realize the natural communication. And also, we will utilize those knowledge and information to augment the human intelligence. Also, we have to think about the human, the affective matter, right? And also, we have the machine to help people to understand the context. So this is only some, the start point. So in this slide, I really want to show you some of our outcomes from our class in Parsons. So in the left side, you can see this is Apple, right? Just released iPhone 10 last month. They are introduced the Animoji. It's also based on the machine learning, the AR, and even the face recognition, those kind of technology. It's really interesting, and also, somehow it also augmented the human communication, give a different layer for the communication. So, about half a year ago, we have our students also design some conversation services, right? It's named Familiar. The Ethan and his team also based on the human cognitive process to learn some of the cognitive opportunities to design some effective design. And also he utilized the facial expression interface to help the human to do a particular task. So that's I see. Today we have UX, right? To pick up some existing technology to augmentate the human interaction. But in a near future, I think it's not only for the user experience, it's well designed some intelligent cognitive experience. It's well follow the human cognition process and help human to resolve some more complex problems. So yeah, that's one code I really like. So the technology creates the possibility and potentials, but ultimately the future we get will depend on the choice we make. So technology is not destiny, we shape our destiny. So, it doesn't work? Okay, so the last lesson is just share the work for our student Ethan. So let me invite Ethan to share the team project with us. Thank you.
So hi, I'm E. I'm from Parsons School of Design, senior student. In the spring of this year, I took a course taught by Han-shen Wei at Parsons, and at the beginning of the course, me and my classmates were all beginners who just started to explore user experience design, and but at the end, we are really satisfied with the design solution we came up with, and it's beyond our expectation. That's why I'm going to walk you guys through our project, which is called Familiar. It's an AI chatbot as a supportive companion, and it helps users to vent their daily stress and try to relieve their negative emotional experience. So anyone knows what's on the left side? No, or yes or not? Oh, yeah, great. So yeah, back at my time when I was a kid, this toy is a big hit. You gotta have one of this, or other kids will not hang out with you. So it's a digital toy. You can keep a pet in it, and you have to feed it to make it healthy and strong. And eventually, the pet will evolve into a monster, and you can win the battle while you connect your Tamagotchi toys to others' Tamagotchi toy. So our Familiar app shares similarity with this toy since they both enable users to keep a digital pet in the device, and but they're different because while Tamagotchi toys promotes the social interaction with other users, our Familiar app aims to help users connect to their inner self, find their self-reflection. So. So our concept of having a pet actually originated from our insight of our users. So we really focus on the young people, college students, 18 to 24, who are having a hard time dealing with their stress in their life, and who was stuck in the social isolation, have no one to talk to about their stress, and they might even experience mild depression symptom. And they want someone who's sharing similarities with them, someone who can always talk to them, someone who can support and understand them. And that's why we built a Familiar app, which aims to encourage users to talk more about their daily stress, and also relieve them with support and encouragement. And in long term, by using this app, user will be coached to make a better emotion management, and they will gain a better self-reflection, find their own ways to manage their emotion and stress. So this app acts just like a personal reflection, as whereby the pet's reaction and the conversation content and schedule were all generated based on the user's words, like input and the emotion attached to it. So during the process, we faced 2 Cradle challenges. The first one is, it's not showing, okay. So the first one is, how can we motivate users to share their life with an agent? So talking to the agents is really a frequent interaction we wanted to make. Sorry. So, and because we want to take our users' conversation as a main data input, and in this way, we really want something that can spontaneously promote the conversation happen more often, and something that can trigger reactive thinking behavior from our users. So to solve this challenge, we used virtual pet to stimulate the interaction, because pets are so easier to engage and empathize with. And for our app, we actually, through our user research, we found that there is a pattern that for people who are stuck in social isolation and who are maybe experience mild depression symptom, they are really sentimental, but while they are not really like to talk to others, they actually care about others. They have empathy with others, and they don't want others to suffer like themselves. And one of the people who we interviewed shared her experience with at that time she was having a hard time dealing with her parents and school, but she really didn't want to share her experience with her friends, though they hang out a lot, but she actually thinks her friends doesn't really know her and support her. And so that's why we want to take use of this opportunity, which is to utilize the empathy and the emotions inside our users. So we choose pet, because pets are easier to engage and empathize, and they also do less judge and listen more, rather do not like human. Okay, so and pets are also used as emotional support in psychological treatment. And the way, because in order to let users express their feelings more freely, we want to use conversation as the way of interaction. And so we set up 3 different user tasks, which is there are 3 respective pet needs. So in order to keep the pet happy and alive, you have to finish all the 3 user tasks. So frequent conversations will keep the pet from starving, and sharing a negative emotional experience will keep the pet clean. And talk about your social activity will make the pet feel happy. So in this way, the user will have a chance to talk about their stress and get relieved. And here is how we construct the app. We have a pet interface, which will trigger the conversation to happen, and we'll grab the data from the conversations to get it analyzed and processed. And we will send the insight to update the conversation tasks and the conversation schedule, send it back to pet interface and get it executed. So here's our pet interface. So it was mainly designed to engage the users using conversation, and the pet's reactions and looks will review the user task. And also here, the app will grab the usage data, like location or time, in order to deliver a better service in the future. So we have several avatar design and different reactions, symbols, and here is how we look in the app. We got a demo to show you guys. It's just 1 minute. So at the beginning, user will get a conversation request. So as you accept the request, you will be brought into the pet interface. So here we are. And now you can see the pet panda looks so unsettling, and bamboos were around him. And which means, oh, he's hungry. So you need to talk to him to start the conversation. So as you start the conversation, he's going to be fine. And here we can see the user said, I have problems dealing with my professor. So the pet starts to be asking why, like who is the professor? Because the app will go back to the database to find out the related information about the professor. So so he can make questions, related questions to continue the conversation. And also the pet will also show similar emotions that detected from the users because we want because in this way the user will feel they share similarities with the pet, more easy to engage with. And also the pet will ask questions to continue the conversation and ask questions to ensure the judgment of the user emotion or content is correct. And yeah, and also the pet will like send back encouraging or supporting words and to relieve the user, and also like set up a future check-in, conversation check-in with the users. Yeah. So so the pet will engage the user by using conversations and by asking questions, giving back encouraging, it's not presentation mode, by giving back encouraging words, the pet will, the user will get relieved. And so we have the second challenge, which is to how to create the long-term user engagement that eventually will help the user get self-reflection. So we looked back again and again to the diagram we were shown in class, and we really want to learn from the relative thinking and the deliberative thinking shown here in the diagram. And we came up with the following strategies to tackle the second challenge, like creating the long-term engagement to help find the self-reflection. The first one is we're going to track the elements in users' life by analyzing the conversation content, so the app can request request a conversation about the right topic at the right time at the right place. And the second is to find a pattern about how the user's emotion has changed in association with how the things in their life has changed. So once the user is feeling like negative experience, we can help them to find out why. So the user input will be sent to get processed, and we come up with something called concern. We define concern as a combination of events history and emotion history. So in the events, we have subjects like people, location, objects, and in the emotions, we have 6 different types of emotions and different various intensity levels. And we also categorize the concerns based on our persona of the college students. And in order to get the concern, which is the count in the conversation and the emotion attached to it, we wanted to use natural language understanding to extract elements in the conversation to get the elements. But how about the emotion part? So we wanted to use IBM Watson-Tong analyzer to analyze the conversation content to get the emotions from the text, and we also wanted to use facial expression detection, like trying to detect the emotion through face expression and using camera. And there are many API available there which can achieve this, and also like just mention that like the new depth camera on iPhone 10 could be also interesting to explore. And so in this way, as we will know the events, what's happening in the user's life and their emotions attached to it, we'll make the app able to proactively help the users by updating the user tasks and the user schedule. So for example, like if it's a Monday, I'm in school, which means I have the most chance to get stressed up. And the app will proactively talk to me, increase the request of the conversation, so I can talk about more experience during the day, so I can get relieved. And here's how the app works. So this is a quote I want to share. It's from a Japanese architect, Kuma, and he once described his project as an immersive, fluid journey from beginning to the end. And I really like this quote because I think maybe human experience and the human mind are never predefined, and it's always like a fluid. It's always dynamic. And so, as a designer, we really should look into how brain and how our brain works and how our experience works, since we're always thinking in multiple dimensions. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, don't go anywhere quite yet. All right, so we have a few minutes to do some Q&A.
So since a lot of the interactions were kind of theoretical and based on the diagrams you showed, maybe had multiple outcomes, how did you go about testing this out or getting it in front of people and testing out all those different possible outcomes?
The prototypes we've conducted or the tests we conducted in the class, we didn't really go to this far, like the really ideal product, like the result. But we actually use real persons to test it with the people. We told them like this is our product, and we use a messenger app. So pretend it's like chatbot, and we did this test with people who we interviewed with, and they're actually, some of them feeling like, oh, I don't believe you are like a bot, or I don't believe you are like an intelligent, or I don't want to talk to like a chatbot. So that's the problem or feedback we received from the test. But it's just a course, we really didn't have to go that far to test out with this idea we've got here.
That's a really cool concept. I do have a question. So the notion of conversational interfaces has been around for decades, right? If you look all the way back in the 1960s, one of the earlier models was called ELIZA, E-L-I-Z-A, and you guys can Google it. You can actually talk to a bot back then. It was very simple, and coincidentally, back then, the model they built after was behind psychotherapy, which is exactly in line with what the team has conducted. My question is, have you guys deployed any psychotherapy models in the way that you expect the bot to engage with the user? Because in that sort of scenario, emotions aside, right, users want to be heard. And without that connection, it's going to be very difficult for the engagement to happen.
Yes, actually, at the beginning, our team really aimed to tackle with depression, but that is really a hard topic to work with, since you really need an expert in the field to work on that, to work with patients. And it's also kind of difficult to talk to the patients who are currently experiencing depression symptoms. And so as we develop the products, I think after 1 month, we just gave up with focusing on depression. So we actually we lower our standard to more general people, people who might feel stressed out in the life, or people feel they don't want to talk to other people, or they feel it's really weird to talk to other people because they don't want to share their things with others. So then our target users become this segment. So now we're really focused on people with psychological disease. Yeah, because it's hard.
All right, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. Okay, let's get a round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for coming out here. Next month, we have the head of research from Jet.com will be coming to our meetup, telling us a bit about what he's up to over there. Talk to the other people here, lots of interesting folks, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks.